Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
will you be giving the treasurer's report, or is former Mayor Washington coming?
Former Mayor Washington texted me just a while ago and he got tied up in something. So we have no report.
Okay.
We anticipate a report by next month.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Gant, did you go to the bank?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay, I just wanted to know. Okay.
Yep,
All right.
yep. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We do not have a quorum, but we won't be doing any voting at this time. But I'm going to call this meeting to order and say welcome to our Maryland Black Mayors meeting. Today is September the 25th, and I am Tracy Gant, and I'm welcoming you, Mayor Tracy Gant, from the town of Edmonston. So welcome, everyone. We'd like to start out this meeting by saying hello. Hello, Mayor Miller, Mayor Cassanias. Mayor Miller as our Vice President from District Heights. Mayor. Hello, everyone. Mayor Cassanias is here, our secretary. She has the Maryland Black Mayor sign. And we have our finance chair, Mayor Robinson, who is here.
Hello.
As well. And we have Mayor Stewart here. I wanted to make the announcement. Mayor Stewart is here. Oh, Mayor Monroe, hello. You just popped in. Chair Wheatley, hello. If I could get you to go ahead and sign in on the chat, that would be great. Hello, Mayor Cross. Hello. If you guys could just go ahead and sign in on the chat, that would be appreciated. Your name and your municipality. Thank you for signing in.
Good evening to everyone.
Good evening. We just started just a few moments ago. And Mayor, we did, as an update, you did ask if I went to the bank. Do you want to update everyone to let them know after I went to the bank what we have access to, Mayor Robinson? Or shall
I? We went to the bank. Everything is changed over. Former Mayor Washington has all the documents from Mayor Casey, our previous treasurer. So he has all that. We have a QuickBooks Online that Miss Washington, who's also a finance person who got us online. So we are online. QuickBooks is online. The signers on the account are former Mayor Washington, who is treasurer, President Mayor Gant, and I am also a signer. So we are ready and prepared to do business. The reports have not been done yet, but I am sure by next meeting we will have our financial reports and be up to date. All the cards, we were talking about the debit cards. Debit cards are intact. I have a debit card. The debit card that I have is the card that's being used for transactions, our business transactions like QuickBooks payment and Wix payment. All those are being used by the credit card I have. And Mayor Gant has a card. And
Mayor
so
Monroe, can you mute yourself?
And Mayor Gant has one, and former Mayor Washington does not. On the suggestion that he did not, that the Miss Washington said that it would be better if the treasurer did not have a card. So, and when we, when we do election again, then we'll go back through this process, but that's where we're at right now. So we are pretty much there. Okay, we've done all we can right now, and we will have a good report, financial reports, ready for next meeting.
Mhm.
Any
Any-
questions?
Yep. Any questions for our finance chair? And I'd like to say that I'm very comfortable with the recommendation that just the two have the debit card and not the treasurer. I feel confident in that. I think that was a good move for us, and I'm glad our treasurer agrees with that. I think he feels more secure with that as well. So we're trying to do things a bit better, learning from just learning as we move forward. And then also, so in our in our executive meeting, because we lost a board member, which is Mayor Casey, who resigned from the board, we had a vacant position, and the executive committee made a recommendation for the board, which was Mayor Stewart, because Mayor Stewart had the next highest votes, and we made the recommendation, and we recommended it to the board, and the board unanimously voted to have Mayor Casey as a board member, and I'd like to present it to the membership and would like to open it up just for formality, just ask for a vote, a motion, and just to pass that Mayor Stewart is our newest board member, just to finish out the remainder of the year. So I will accept the motion from the floor to accept Mayor Stewart as our newest member on the board to finish out the year, which ends in December.
I move that we accept Mayor Stewart as the other member of the Board of Directors for the Maryland Black Mayors to finish out this year, 2024.
I second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded by Mayor Robinson and Mayor Miller. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Motion passes, and congratulations, Mayor Stewart. Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. All right. Are there any updates from any municipalities? I have Mayor Robinson here, who on the 21st, this last Saturday, she was part of, I know she made mention last month that the voting was very important, and she was partnering with her church, First Baptist of Brentwood.
First Baptist Church of North
Brentwood.
Mm-hmm.
And I just asked her to give us an update as to what went on and how effective was it on Saturday. So I'll turn this over to Mayor Robinson just to give us a quick update on that.
Thank you so much. Last Saturday we had a great turnout, probably about 60 people. It was spearheaded by Reverend Dr. Dwayne T.K., who's the pastor of the First Baptist Church of North Brentwood, and I was on the committee, and it was called Your Vote, Your Power Gathering. Find out what you need to know before voting. It was held at First Baptist Church in North Brentwood. The doors, it started at 10 o'clock, and we were over at 12 noon. The guests included former Judge Alex Williams, who we all know about him. He was our moderator. We had representatives from the League of Women Voters. A shout out to Miss Joyce Duckett, who made that possible. And under the League of Women Voters, under their umbrella are some students from Bowie State University who go from place to place to let people know, to inform people about voting and the voting process. Two students who were there that did a great presentation on the Electoral College. And also there was our own, and I know a lot of y'all know Christian Romero. He was there. He did a presentation on Project 2025. It was recorded. The recording will be out soon. So we want everybody to, be made aware that there are facts there that they may be interested in, especially in doing this electoral process. Also, we had a panel. The panel, like I said, was moderated by the Honorable Judge Alex Williams, Jr. On the panel was Reverend Dr. Dwayne D.K., of First Baptist, and Samuel Epps, who is the president of the AFL-CIO Washington area, and also Delegate, he's your delegate, Delegate Ashante. Is that his, Delegate Ashante Martinez? He was on the panel too. So it was just a great gathering. We learned a lot. And I'm sure we're going to learn a lot tonight about the Electoral College. And persons went home learning more than they had, because it was just informative. So it was well attended, and I think that everybody is, and I think you've also done it at the event that you had on last month. So knowledge is key. So I appreciate what everyone's doing to bring more knowledge to everyone, because we need to know what our vote can do and what our power can do. And so I appreciate everything that went on last week, and what's going to go on tonight, and what we've done before, Maryland Black Mayors, as far as being giving out knowledge and being informed. But it was very, very well attended. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. 60 people. That's pretty good.
Yes.
That's pretty good. Thank you. All right. Any other updates, comments?
I think Mayor Monroe may have a question. Her hand is up.
All right, Mayor Monroe.
And Mayor Cross.
Mayor Cross.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to make you aware of a program that I was asked to sit in on as the Prince George's County chapter for 7023 Bravo Young Adults, Youth Works, and College Branch Programs. It's called the NAACP Afro Academic, Cultural, Technology, and Scientific Olympics, ACT-SO, ACT-SO. This was a webinar, and each year high school students across the country start a journey essentially to sharpen their skills through Afro-academic, cultural, technology, and the scientific Olympics. And this is based on visual arts as well as businesses to perform culinary arts, participating in works for community-based volunteers, as well as developing projects and performances. And so this is a experience that culminates into local and national events where the students can compete for scholarships and other awards. There is a future timeline that pretty much started in September and goes till May, where the local programs conduct mentoring and scholarship enrichment activities. And then in April, the local programs actually have a gold medalist program where scores are referenced to invite a competition then at the national level, which is about April to July, where local mentorship and enrichment programs prepare for that competition. The winners of those competitions essentially will be held at the national competition ceremonies in July in conjunction with the NAACP National Convention. Now, I bring that up because this is something for our children of ethnic descent, and it's very important for us, I believe, as Maryland Black mayors, that we're not necessarily living in the world of politics, but in social services and giving back. This program looks and pursues creative talents and academic dreams and purposes without any restriction on the passions of these young folks of color to actually achieve those dreams. So I will actually drop in the chat the website, the impact you'll see immediately when you open the screen. But over 300,000 young people have participated in this Act So as of 2021. So this is a program that I believe the African Maryland Black mayors can participate in as a service project, and happy to support with any other information on this, but it is tied to the NAACP national headquarters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Monroe?
Oh, thank you for acknowledging me. I had it on mute. I wanted to briefly just offer an apology. I'm in the car coming from Philadelphia on an emergency with my son, and I was talking, and I apologize for not being on mute. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. And I hope all is well. Drive safely.
I hope so too.
Thank you.
All right. Any other updates? If not, I am very happy and excited that we have Miss Monica Roebuck here with us tonight, along with her mother, who joined earlier today. Hello, Mrs. Roebuck. Thank you for being here tonight. And Mrs. Roebuck, mom, for being here. I need you, Ms. Roebuck, Monica, to just give us a little bit about your background and everything. She's going to, she's a teacher. I do know that much. And she is well versed on electoral votes. And she's going to teach us the importance. She's going to give us the background and all of that about the votes and the history, and whether we all know we don't need it, whether we need it or not. And so I'm going to bow out so she can go ahead and take the floor. But first, just give us your background and the work that you've done in our county and the connection. I don't know if Mr. Blocker is going to be able to join us tonight or not, but go ahead. I yield the floor to you.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you so much for the invitation. I really appreciate it. So just a little bit about me. I'm from Prince George's County. I attended Prince George's County Public Schools. I later graduated from Elizabeth Seton High School, went to Howard University. I'm currently a teacher in Prince George's County Public Schools, and I've been working there since 1999, believe it or not.
Wow.
Was appointed to the Board of Elections in 2019, and I served as an alternate member for about 2.5, 3 years. That was a great experience, serving on the board and just being able to see the impact of being on the board on a countywide level and how elections are done, how votes are counted, and the whole canvassing process and so forth. I was later appointed to a statewide board that dealt with voter engagement and preventing voter disenfranchisement, which then also ignited more of my excitement around voting. I work with Aisha Braveboy to help expand voting in the jails for people who were incarcerated. Those who are incarcerated under a misdemeanor can vote. So I was really pleased to be able to partner with her on that so people can vote. I ran for office. I ran for city council. I was looking for my mayor to see if he was on here, but I don't see him. I ran for city council in Bowie. I also ran for delegate. I came up short, but it was a great experience. I ran for delegate in 2022 in District 23. And so I'm just continuing my activism and my advocacy for voting. So I'm very passionate about voting. And then with me being a teacher, when I was asked to do this, I was like, oh my God, yes. I get really excited about just being able to share this kind of information with our community. And I want to thank, this is really an honor for me to do this presentation among you all, this group, especially because you guys are on the front lines, you're mayors, you're women. So I really appreciate all the work that you do in your community. And so once I share it with you, then I know that you all will then be empowered to go back to your communities and share it with them, especially as we get ready for this upcoming election. So I'm just really excited about being here. So I put together a presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and share that with you guys now. And let me know if you can see it. You guys can see it.
Yes.
All righty. All right. So this is one of the most important elections of our time. And I know we say that every election, but this election just seems to be so important. I'm calling this presentation a call to action. And that's for our communities and for everybody. This is a call to action in election 2024. So Congressman John Lewis, this was his famous quote: "The right to vote is precious, almost sacred. It is the most powerful tool that we have in a democratic society, and we must use it." Congressman John Lewis spent his entire life fighting for voting rights. And this quote is so important because it says that in a democratic society, in order for it to really work, we must exercise our rights so every voice can be heard. It's not going to work if everyone is not a part of it. And this is a very sacred part of our democracy, that everyone be able to participate in this process. And so this is something that we cannot take for granted. And on another note, I really look forward to seeing the John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed. And people know that this is such a powerful right. And so that's why, they're trying to disenfranchise us on so many levels. And so it is very powerful. I kind of broken the presentation down into several parts. So voter education, voter engagement, and then voter empowerment. You have to be educated on voting laws and things like that before you can really get into bringing other people in and engaging people in the voting process. And so we're going to start with election 2024 important dates in the state of Maryland. Early voting is right around the corner. Early voting begins October the 24th. So mark your calendar, October the 24th through October the 31st, from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And so in Prince George's County, we have our early voting sites all throughout the county. I believe we have about 11 sites. Election day is Tuesday, November the 5th, from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. For those of you who want to vote in person, I'm encouraging everybody to vote early, and I will talk about that more later, but I will say it's important for us to vote early because as voting ambassadors, once we vote, then we need to go back and help other people to the polls, or to call other people, or to do other things to get people out to vote. So I'm encouraging everybody to vote early. That way you can be about the business of helping other people and get out the vote, not only in Maryland, but in other parts of our country. The deadline to request a mail-in ballot is Tuesday, October the 29th. And so if you want to vote by mail, you have to request that. And that's the deadline is Tuesday, October the 29th. The deadline to mail in a ballot is Tuesday, November the 5th, by 8 p.m. So if you're mailing a ballot, it has to be postmarked by election day on the 5th at 8 p.m. Put it in a drop box, not a mailbox, but a drop box. So those are the white boxes that you see at the community centers. They have one in Prince George's County over in Largo off of, I believe, Mercantile Lane, where you can drop it off at the Board of Elections. And make sure that's where you don't have to have any postage or anything like that on your ballot when you are delivering it in the drop box. State of Maryland website, just for further information and to get all the information that you need about the election, is elections.maryland.gov. Okay, voter registration. So this is the first step in the voting process. Okay, we know that registering to vote is extremely important. In order to vote, we have to register. And so, we want to get out in the community. We want to register family, friends, young people. We can go into high schools and register people, our church members, our co-workers, our fraternal organizations. A person must be at least 16 to be registered, and they have to be 18 years old to vote in a presidential and in a congressional district. There's some municipalities where you can vote at 16, but we're talking about this election in which you have to be 18 to vote. Convicted felons who have served their period of confinement can vote in Maryland. So that's important to note because a lot of felons don't think that they can vote. And if they have served their period of time, then they can vote. I just want to take a look at the voter registration form real quick before we move on, just so that we can, if anybody has any questions or anything like that, you can let me know. And so I would say, print this out, take it with you, make some copies for people you come across, in the grocery store or at church or wherever it is. Just, have them register and fill it out and turn it into the Board of Elections. So it's pretty straightforward and not a lot of questions. So it asks, are you at least 16 years old? If no to the first two questions on this, then they can't register. You have to be a citizen, not a resident. You have to be a citizen of the United States in order to vote. So if they answer no to either one of those, then they can't vote. Number 2 says check the box and apply and complete questions 3 through 12. If this is a new registration, name change, party affiliation. So if you have changed your address, if you've gotten married, if you've changed your name, then you need to fill out this form too. So you can get your new voter registration card, because what you don't want to happen is to get to the polling place and something has changed and you have to do a provisional ballot. Okay, a provisional ballot is when your vote is in question and it's counted after all the other ballots are counted. So please be sure that your address is correct, your name is correct, and your party affiliation is what you want it to be on your card. I'm sorry, I didn't see, there was a hand.
Mayor Robinson.
Yes, Mayor Robinson?
You can vote that day. You can vote on election day, right?
Correct.
Okay, you can vote. We were saying the dates and everything, but you can go in and vote on election day. Even though you don't do early voting, you can still go and vote. If you haven't done anything else, you can still go in there and vote.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So you have to decide. I think for me, I'm doing early voting because I want to go back and I want to do whatever work I need to do, which is making calls, getting people to the polls. Some people like to go in on that day. They like to stand in line, like
That's me.
When Barack Obama became president, it was something about being there in person. It's just something about it. So later on, I'll talk about, your vote plan. Come up with your plan, like what you're gonna wear, where which polling area are you gonna go to, who are you gonna go with? You can just, make it fun. So think about where you're gonna vote. And so for voter registration, if anything has changed, please make sure that you have your card up to date. I will also say that voter registration in Maryland is great because you can register same day.
Yeah.
So you can register with this form, or you can go right on in and you can register. So either way, people really don't have a reason that they can't vote because they can register at any point in time. Once they fill out all of this, they have to sign the form at the bottom. They have to put the date at the bottom. And then they have to turn this form into, I don't know if we have any mayors from other parts of the state. But once they fill it out and sign it, then they have to turn it into one of these locations at the Board of Elections, and they'll be counted. All right. Let's see, let's move on. So okay, you registered and all of that, you get your card in the mail. You need to check to make sure your name and your address is correct. When you get your voter registration card in the mail, the Board of Elections should be sending it within the next week or two. Verify your polling place and your location. Make sure you know where you're going. Make sure, because sometimes what ends up happening is we think we're going to one place, but then it's somewhere else. That's if you're, voting on election day. So the presidential elections and the local elections have two different polling places. So make sure that you know exactly where you're going. Is your political party correct? You don't need to have an ID to go to the polling place, which, I love that about Maryland because voting really shouldn't have all of these restrictions and conditions. The main thing is that you are a citizen, you're 18 years old. And so when you go, I recommend taking your ID, but you don't really need it. When you go to the polls, they'll ask you your name and they will ask you to confirm your address, and that's it. But other than that, having an ID is not required in the state of Maryland to vote. Now, I just want, okay, before I go and before I share this video, I just want to stop and see, are there any questions about voter registration? So voter registration, when I was on the Board of Elections, I think there were about, Prince George's County has almost 1 million people, maybe 800,000 or so, and about 500,000 were registered. Now ask me how many actually voted. Like probably not even half of that voted. So voter registration is step one. And the big, the heavy lift or the big job of this is getting people out to vote. But we do want to register. So, I will say that is still very important, but even more important and even harder to do is to get people out to vote. So I'm going to just share this video. I thought this was it's a pretty good video. And then I'll get your thoughts at the end.
More than 270, more than enough to become the 44th president of the United States. He will be the first African-American president of the United States.
Out of my life, but I can't believe it. Nice. You see business in my city, yeah, they closed all them twice. I was just riding down Salem, put them damn potholes. I can't drive. I know y'all can fix it faster, but I know if y'all won't try. Nobody care about us. And that's long before. Voted for Obama back in 2012. I remember that's when I had hope. He was saying, yes, we can. And everybody got less food stamps. When I turned 21, I was still broke. I'd never vote again. I don't think I ever had a president make my life better than that I'm on my own. And a politician never do a nice job. I don't even know the man. I ain't never seen it one time ever. I mean, I think gonna help the city. When I'm supposed to do right letters, He ain't never really came up with it. Ain't nobody raised minimum wage. None of these jobs pay enough. I think they just want to keep us broke. They ain't putting on the place for us. It's how all my people feel, but we gotta learn. We can find enough. Let me change it up. I just said, everybody I know think the same way. So they don't want to see us vote. Then we never do. So we see the same thing. But all our votes really do count. And they'll never really let it show. So now I'm gonna break it down. Cause if I don't, you would probably never know. First thing first, you know, back in school when they taught us those three branches of the government, we forgot it when we got on. It's the judicial, the legislative, and executive. But all we know is the executive. It's the mayor, or the governor, and the president. Now none of them people make no laws. They just be checking. The laws come to the and all they do is say no. Yeah. So when the news station they tell us that Barack Obama couldn't do it. He was all thought he had Obama when he was the Congress members all along. We gotta focus on the legislative branch. Yeah, they the ones that make the law. Yeah, they the ones right how much food stamp money you get on the card. But when people that wanted to help, wanted the job, I know they probably lost. Because we ain't even know their name, we ain't know their face, we ain't know it all. So the Congress, the state house, that legislative, they make laws. So what we want from the president is what they do. Okay, y'all? See, they election every 2 years, but we don't never even go to those. The Congress, they can raise minimum wage, but we ain't even really know it though. So you know how back in 08, when we all voted for Obama, was all supposed to go back in 2010 and vote for the Congress. If they the ones who make child support laws, they the ones who put your kids that won't get the east the court law. The state house make the court laws. If the country failed, then you can't say it's your fault. Because you ain't know the vote with Congress members that was for y'all. And they don't want to leave that for 4 years. We just let them sit. They don't want to tell you this. They want you to focus on the president. Now, the third branch is the judicial. That's judges. They the reason why John Crawford was trained behind they had justice. So when people move back, and not they let her even vote again, because they didn't know who to vote against. Imagine life on the other side. Roads better, schools better, everybody get their license back, grocery store food better, custody of your kids back, homeless people get new shelters. If we gonna fix the US, we gotta start with them 2 letters. Me and you, somebody told us that the government wanna keep us broke, but the only reason why those people in the government is because we ain't vote. And I ain't talking about the president, I'm talking about the ones we ain't know. See, they was gonna try to keep it low, but it's gonna hurt them when they see the pros.
Every time you stay home, someone is making a decision about you, making decisions about the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food your kids eat, and how much money you bring home every 2 weeks. So every time you sit out an election, every time you don't show up because you think it doesn't matter, someone else is happy that you didn't show up, so they can make that decision for you. Vote.
Okay, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Would anybody like to share their takeaways to this video? What you thought about it?
More than 200.
This is Mayor Robinson. I'll go ahead. I couldn't understand all of it. I think you got kind of blurred up or something. But I think it was a great video. I think it really pointed out what people think, especially youth.
Right.
Our youth are our biggest point that we want to get to, okay? Because our youth are the ones that we need to vote, okay? So I really appreciate that, and I hope that you can send that to it, because I will put it on my community channel, okay?
Yeah. Okay, definitely.
Okay.
Anyone else? And yeah, I mean, the youth are our future, and what I say to our youth is it's really important for them to vote, because the decisions being made today will affect them for the next 20, 30, 40 years. So they really have to vote. And as they said at the end of the video, these decisions that are being made are going to affect them, but they don't even know because they don't vote. And so there are important decisions, just like with Donald Trump. I mean, these elections have consequences. I think I read today he appointed 230 something federal judges, 3, I believe it was 2 or 3 Supreme Court judges. And so there are so many decisions that are made by a president and elected officials in general that we can't take that for granted. So we have to vote, and we have to understand, based on that video, it kind of talked about the role of each branch of government, and we have to understand how they work. I mean, the local level is so important because what you all do is so important because you're directly providing services to people, either the trash pickup or you know, the roads, or you know, whatever services that you provide. That is very important, but also Congress is important. They pass the budget. The president is important. So it's really important just to know how it all works and to educate ourselves on that. All right, so Electoral College. This is really what Mayor Gant had asked me to speak about. So I'm going to go ahead and go into talking about the Electoral College. All right, so the Electoral College is really very controversial, and it's something that has been just very controversial over many years, but I'm going to do my best to explain this to everybody. So it's basically, I'm going to give you all a little bit of history about the Electoral College. It's the Electoral College is based on the number of representatives each state has in Congress and the Senate. The Electoral College includes 538 votes, and 270 votes are needed for a simple majority. Each state is given a number of votes based on its population. So, for example, the state of Maryland, I believe, has 10 electoral votes. Now, the Electoral College, the history of it came about during the period of slavery. And so it came about out of the 3/5 compromise. And so during that time of slavery, the South had more population than the North. And so the North said, you have more people than us, and they did not want them to have more representation in Congress. And what they said is, you can't count all your slaves. You can only count 3 out of the 5. So we hear the language, we're like 3/5 of a person. But what the Constitution was saying was that they could only count 3 out of the 5 people. In other words, the North wanted to balance out the power that the South had with all of the slaves. And so the 3/5 compromise was reached in 1787. It determined that only 3 out of 5 slaves would be counted to determine a state's total population for legislative representation and taxation. This reduced the South's representation and their power. So herein lies the problem. Now, remember, with this election, we are not counting votes, we are counting electoral votes. We are counting, the Electoral College is a representation of the population. It's not individual votes, when therein lies the problem. So the North was very upset about this population of the South, and this was the beginning of them trying to level this playing field so that it would be fair. Now, here's the problem with the electoral, and here's the Electoral College map. So when we look at the Electoral College map, what you have is each state has been assigned a number of electoral votes. And remember, these are not votes, these are electoral votes. And so the problem with the electoral votes is it's hard to figure out how many people does each vote represent. The reason why you can have a popular vote, you can win popular vote and lose the election, because it's not clear how many people represent one vote. Now, you have like California, which has a huge population, and then you have areas like New York, which has 20 votes. But when they recalibrated the electoral votes to these southern states to have basically equivalent to, I guess, what the southern states had, when you look at the middle part of the US, the Midwest, you know, like states like Nebraska and South Dakota and North Dakota, these states normally vote the same. If all of those states in the center band together and they normally vote Republican, that's why it's red, then they can really take the map and win the election. So the Electoral College, and I'll come back to this in a second. The problem with the Electoral College is that it is not one person, one vote. And so that being said, we know that our Constitution says that, you know, everyone has the right to vote and should have their say. This Electoral College doesn't do this. One, we are out of slavery. So we shouldn't, slavery's been, slavery, Electoral College should be abolished because slavery is no longer here. That's how this came about. So the Electoral College is not one person and one vote. Part of the problem within our community especially is people feel disenfranchised. They feel like their vote is not being counted. And I can understand that because Electoral College is not one person, one vote. Your vote is then translated to an elector who then takes those votes and they are cast to the 270, going towards the total amount of votes. Votes are cast by an elector in Midwest states with less population, have more strength in votes. So in essence, the Electoral College map benefits Republicans. And the reason I say that is because it has happened twice where a Democrat has had the popular vote, but they lost. Does anybody know which elections that was? It was 2 elections coming off the top of my head. There are 2 elections where a Democrat won the popular vote, but they lost the electoral vote. Does anybody know?
Was it Gore?
It was Gore, that was one.
Hillary Clinton.
Right, and Hillary Clinton, right. And the reason why they lost is because we're not counting popular vote. We're not counting, and that's why I keep saying that we're not counting votes one by one. We're counting electoral votes. So it's really important to understand I don't want to use the word game, but we need to understand how all of this is working. And why I'm going to tell people, like, don't pay attention to the polls. We need to look at the electoral map and see where the votes are coming from to actually win. Because you may have more votes, but if you don't have any more electoral votes, then you're still not going to win. So the majority of the states are winner take all, which means, let's say, for example, in the state of Maryland, 80% of the people vote Democrat. And so all 10 electoral votes go to the Democrats. Now, part of the problem with the Electoral College is also that, because let's say I live in the state of Maryland and the majority of the people vote Democrat, but I'm a Republican, my vote really is not going to be cast in the way that I want it to be cast. It's going to be cast for 10 Democratic electoral votes. There are 2 states that are not winner take all, and those states are Nebraska and Maine. And so what Donald Trump was trying to do recently was to change it so that those states would not be able to divide up the electoral votes. So in the state of Nebraska, Omaha was probably going to go to Kamala Harris. And what Donald Trump wanted was to have all 5 electoral votes and not give her one, because that one vote could possibly decide the election in her favor. Right now, it's winner take all. I believe right now it's divided. So she'll get 1 and he'll get 4. And so that was the discussion this week. But the court ruled that he could not do that. She could still get 1 and he will get 4 if it comes out that way. So again, a candidate can win the popular vote and lose the Electoral College. And so the Electoral College needs to be abolished altogether. However, the only way that can be done is through a constitutional amendment. And it's very difficult to change the Constitution because it's the foundation of our country. it can be done, but I think it's by 2/3 vote. With the Congress that we have now, that's not going to happen. They're not going to vote for it because this electoral college favors Republican candidates. Now, this is okay. So the road to 270, the majority of states votes the same way every election. So what that means is you have states like Maryland. Maryland always votes blue. California always votes blue. Texas generally always votes red. So you have pretty much some states that vote the same way. The election is going to be decided among the swing states. So you guys have been hearing about the swing states, right? So the swing states are Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan. So their votes can go one way or another. And remember, we're not doing votes, we're doing electoral votes. So those are the votes, the electoral votes that we want to go after. If you're in the Kamala Harris camp, you want to go after those states because the other states, they're fixed pretty much. They're going to be the same. Maryland's going to always be the same. New York is always going to be blue. But these are the states that can swing the electorate one way or another based on their votes. Let's see. All right, any questions about that? I know I said a lot. Hopefully I didn't confuse anybody. The electoral college is very confusing, which is another reason why it should be abolished.
I have a question. It's Mayor Stewart.
Yes, ma'am.
So I read an article where they were saying that if the states don't certify their votes, meaning if they got 30 electoral colleges, they won't certify it and it won't go toward a candidate. And the president, whoever, VP Harris doesn't get to 270, then we won't have a president.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of crazy things too. And that's the thing. So the electors, their responsibility is to certify the vote. And then, with January 6th, we know what happened there. The vice president is responsible for certifying the vote. Now, I saw something yesterday about the person who is not the vice president, but the Speaker of the House. And so, yeah, and that's the problem with it, is that the electors, they are responsible for casting their votes. So what happens when they don't do it? Or what happens when you have, God forbid, like with January 6th, you have, you're putting it in the hands of someone who then has to cast a vote. It might be someone who disagrees. So there are all of these different scenarios in play right now that kind of make us wonder, like, what's going to happen if it turns out differently than the people who are in office. How is that going to work? Are we going to have a president? So, there's a lot of uncertainty due to the electoral vote. And I think, unfortunately, with these swing states, Donald Trump is going to try to just hang up this election in the courts and take it all the way to the Supreme Court, because he knows that he has favor with the Supreme Court justices. But it's very important that we get out the vote, not only in our state once we vote, but also to reach out to people that we know in the Georgia, the North Carolina, the Pennsylvania, all of these swing states, because those states are going to be critical. I wouldn't believe any polls that are on TV, because we don't know whether or not those polls are accurate, because, the last election, Hillary Clinton was up. Next thing you know, Donald Trump was being certified as a winner, even though she did have the majority of the votes. I believe she had over 2 million votes more than Donald Trump. So we're not counting votes, we're counting electoral votes. Yes, Mayor from Brentwood?
North Brentwood.
North Brentwood.
Okay. Mayor Robinson, I'm sorry. How you get the electoral votes by Congress, right? I mean, everybody has, we saw the map, everybody has electoral votes. You get those votes by the number of representatives that you have in Congress. Is that the way you get those electoral votes?
They're by population in your
Yeah.
state. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm saying we got 2 senators and the 8 representatives. That gives us 10.
10, correct.
Okay, so and other states have different ones. California has a whole bunch of senators and a whole bunch of House of Representatives. So that's how you get that count, right?
Correct.
Okay, because of
actually-
the representation that we have in Congress.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
I just
so
wanna
I
make
have a
sure.
I have a question about that actually too, or just a comment. I think this is, and by the way, I love this presentation. Thank you so much for everything that you're sharing. But this goes back also to the census. So it's all intertwined. So I feel like the census tells us the population of each state, and then that determines the electoral, voting members. So all of this is intertwined. But I didn't realize that the electoral college was steeped in racism. That's news to me, and so I think that it's important to get the word out about that, the roots of the electoral college. And then I just, one of the things that I realize is that we don't live in a representative democracy per se because of the electoral college.
No, we don't. And that's my main problem with the electoral college, because we should be one person, one vote, period. And this is the reason why you have people who do not want to vote, because they're putting their vote basically is being given away to an elector who then casts a vote. And that is not the way that things were set up in our country. That should not be how it's done. Because a lot of things can go awry when electors are casting the ballots. So I don't know whether or not that's going to change. I recently received something from Senator Cory Booker, who was trying to get something going in terms of, I guess, making a change and seeing, I guess, how many people are interested, trying to help move away from the electoral college. They may not be able to get rid of it, but there's some things that they can do to modify it a little bit or to change how the electoral college is done. Because it's going to be hard to change the Constitution, but I think there are some things that can be done to change currently how it's done, because it puts a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth that you can win a majority of you can win the popular vote and still lose. That's just not good. And it's twice two Democratic candidates.
And I feel if we were to educate people more on the racist roots of the electoral college, we could make some progress. So that's number one. But even when you show the T-Pain video and we're talking, or he explains kind of how all politics is local politics, in its truest form, our municipalities are a representative democracy. The mayors don't have an electoral college that we rely on. It's one vote. It's one person, one vote. So that's the difference there. Yeah. So it's super interesting. Thank you for all of this information.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hi, I'm Monica. This is Mayor Wheatley. Thank you for this presentation tonight. I'm not sure who's checking the chat or who's monitoring, but several of us have our hands raised. So I just wanted to go back to a comment that you made.
Yes.
When you were speaking about Nebraska, and you said that I guess you said that their electoral votes are split or shared.
Yeah.
Can you explain why Trump would get 4 and the VP would only get 1? Like, how's that split?
Yeah, so in Nebraska, Omaha is a diverse, so Omaha is probably the most diverse in Nebraska. So what they're saying is Kamala Harris is going to get the area that represents Omaha, Nebraska, and then the rest of Nebraska, Donald Trump is going to carry that area. So he would get the 4. And what he's trying to do is he's saying that one electoral vote, it could come down to 1 or 2 electoral votes. That one that she gets, he wanted that, but you can't, it's too late to make that change. So I don't know why those 2 states have split. But I think that is a little bit more democratic because your vote should be, your electoral vote should not be negated. It should go based on how you vote. In other words, if you have a section that's voting Republican, then it shouldn't be split and given all the votes rather to the Democrats. So I think that is a fair way to do it by saying, okay, one for this section because they're voting Democrat, and then the rest of the state is voting Republican, and they get the other 4. So Donald Trump will carry the other 4, but he knows that he needs every electoral vote at this point.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, you're
So,
welcome.
Mayor Cross has her hand up. I don't know.
Oh,
So
yes, Mayor Cross.
thank you, Ms. Wheatley. Let me monitor the hands that are raised. Mayor Cross?
Thank you. Yes, Mayor Cross.
Hi, Sora. Thank you so much for this
You're so welcome.
presentation. Yeah, I think that I did put in the chat, everyone was communicating about Yellow's rap, that they couldn't hear it. And I have actually shared Yellow's rap many times in the past because he's correct. There is a need for us not just to appreciate the voting process at the executive level, but the voting process at all levels of government. And that's also something that I think that in this coming year, as many of our mayors on this line are a part of the If I Were Mayor, that may be something that we look at, because the appreciation at the local level of the power of the vote has to be respected, and democracy itself is under attack, as we've heard multiple times from President Biden on down to all candidates that are currently running for these executive offices. So I appreciate the fidelity that you've given to the Electoral College, but I also appreciate your commitment and devout dedication to democracy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Cross. After I finish the rest of the presentation, I'll go back and I can play it again. I love the video because I think it's, kind of represents basically the broader mindset of a lot of young people, who don't want to get involved, or they're not really in the, understand how the process works. But it would be great. We still have time to do events. And I think, as you all being mayors and on the front line, hosting a forum, inviting some young people out, playing this video, I think would definitely pique their interest. They need to see that people like them are, need to be a part of this process. It's not just older people or, their grandparents or whoever, we need everyone in this process. Yes. I think
So just to kind of feedback, because I've never necessarily challenged the Electoral College because it's just been what it is. However, there are so many things that have taken place since the election of, I don't like even saying that person's name, but since their election, that you need to be incredibly careful because there are so many shenanigans that are taking place. So just because, every state has, I don't know who the electoral judges are, but they don't necessarily have to go with what that state, the majority, who they voted for. So, and I think that that's something that we need to be very watchful.
Yeah, it's we need to do away with it because, like you said, we don't know if they're going to cast the votes the right way. It just is very problematic in a lot of ways. And also how they're selected. We don't know who they are. We don't know who the people are. They're normally selected by the party leaders, like Democratic Party leaders, Republican leaders. So they're, a combination, but it's very secretive. And a lot of times it's not, years ago, not a lot of women were represented, not a lot of Black people were represented. So we don't even know who the people are that are casting the vote on our behalf, or what their mindset is at the time, and if they even want to cast the vote. So it's just a lot that, needs to be changed. And I think, under a new administration, under Kamala Harris, I mean, it's time to turn the page on many of these things that we've done over the years. And that's why it's so important to vote, because if we can get if we can keep a Democratic Senate and get a Democratic House, we can probably get some things done. Right now we have a Democratic House and have a Senate, and so it's hard to get stuff done. But if we can actually get out to vote to have a clean sweep of all three, then we would really be able to get something done and make a change in the right way for democracy. All right, so the next part of this is elections have consequences, and Obama is telling us how much elections have consequences. And so I'm sure all of us have heard of Project 2025. And it's just scary even, reading it. I was reading over some of it today, just kind of like a synopsis, and it's really, really interesting. We're not going back. We cannot go back to, years ago. When I think about John Lewis and our parents and our grandparents and the fight that they had to fight to get us here, our ancestors have suffered and died and fought to get us to this point. Now it's up to us to continue. So we can't rest because we haven't made it. We've got to keep going, because what's happening now is this move where people want to take us back. They want to get rid of Medicaid, and they want to get rid of Department of Education, which includes Title I funding for SPED students, for low-income students, and on and on and on. And it's just really unbelievable. This is under Donald Trump. If he were elected, Project 2025 would be activated. Okay. So if we don't get out and vote and get the right person in, we will have Project 2025. That's one of the consequences. The next president will appoint the next 3 Supreme Court justices. Clarence Thomas, they're trying to get him to step down. And then the Sonia Sotomayor, they're saying that she may step down. There's another Supreme Court justice. So whoever is elected will be selecting the next 3. So that could really, really, make a big change. Abortion rights is on the ballot, gender equality, our history, in Florida, they were actually saying, you don't need to teach, Black history, or you don't need to teach these courses about Black history. I mean, this is real. And so we do not want this to happen. And this is, we live in Maryland, so we kind of far removed from some of it, but this is not, we are not insulated because we're living in the US. And so any of this could happen even here. And I say, we don't know. So we can't go back. We have to vote. Now, I just want to kind of click on this just to share some of this information, because I just think information is power. And it's just so important to understand so the actual document is 900 pages, but this is just a snapshot of it. And I can email it to Mary Gant so that you guys can see, but it's not something that Donald Trump wrote, because, he's not smart enough to write anything like this, but it was put together by people who were in his administration, who, if he gets in office, this is something that he wants to, that he will carry out. And I don't care what he says, he will carry this out. They want to get rid of unions. So it's an attack on labor. So in every area of our, culture as we know it now, things will change. Healthcare will change. Medicaid coverage will change for low income. Head Start. They want to eliminate Head Start. Those are for our low income babies. Head Start. Okay, Black Panther started Head Start. And so this is a travesty. Education, dismantling of the Department of Education. I don't know how you get rid of a whole entire agency. They want to eliminate the student debt program where you can eliminate your debt, like the loan forgiveness, basically. Immigration reform, Donald Trump has already said he's going to do a quote unquote mass deportation, which that's ridiculous. Economy, climate change. So everything is on the ballot. Everything, gender identity, just everything is on the ballot. And we really gotta dig deep. And we really gotta be serious about this election, because if not, there's going to be so much on the line that will change. All right, let me go back. And so those are our consequences. And so I want us to keep that top of mind moving forward for these next for this next month. Please keep that in top of mind, because it can change like a heartbeat. And so we have to really be serious. And you guys are in the perfect position, because you all are the leaders. You all have a whole constituency. I'll send this information to you. More than welcome to have it. Use it with the people in your city and your area. Empower them. If you want me to come speak, I'm more than happy to do that. To register some voters and sign up some people. You know, because we have to do that. Now, voter empowerment, what can we do? We can educate our family, our friends about the importance of this election. Tell them how important it is. You know, our sphere of influence, the people that are around us, our coworkers, the people that we come in contact on a regular basis, and say, hey, I'll say, you know, hey, I'm voting for Kamala. What about you? Who are you voting for? Or are you registered? Have you, do you know where you're voting? Have you come up with a vote plan? Did you know that, you know, October the 24th is early voting? You know, have you thought about how you're going to get to the polls? Vote early. I'm encouraging everybody, vote early. Get your vote counted, take people to the polls. A senior, sign up for a campaign, make some phone calls, take someone to the polls who may need transportation. We all know people in these swing states. The swing states will decide the election. These are the states: Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Wisconsin. I put Louisiana and Mississippi in parentheses because they are states who have a high concentration of African Americans, but low voter turnout. Which is a whole nother issue, because there's so much voter disenfranchisement in some of the states. Literally, Georgia said they have to hand count every precinct. So there's just a lot of shenanigans going on, which will make it really hard, for us to figure out whether or not who the winner is on election night. We're not going to probably know. If Georgia has to hand count their precincts, we won't know election night, and that's intentional because they want to make this difficult. So call people that you know in these swing states, call people you know in Georgia, touch bases with them, text them, send them an email if you don't want to talk to them. Because this is where the election is going to be decided in these swing states. We already know Maryland is going to go 10 votes for Democrat. But all these other swing states, we really need to take a look at that, because, you know, even though they're saying polls are up for Kamala Harris and polls are up for this or that or the other, we really can't believe it, because, you know, like I mentioned in the last election, before Biden, Hillary Clinton was up. She was way up. And look what happened. So it doesn't matter. So here are a few resources and websites: elections.maryland.gov. That's our state of Maryland website, where you can get all your information about voting and dates and candidates and all that. Vote.org for people to register when we all vote. That's Michelle Obama's organization, her nonprofit. Votesmart.org. You can you can use that website rather to research candidates. You know, it's always important to research candidates, know who you're voting for, know their track record, know how they're spending their money, where they're getting their money from. Be an educated voter about, you know, so when you go to the polls, you know who you're voting for, and you can intelligently tell someone else who they should vote for. because we don't vote based on gender or color. That is not how we vote. We vote based on, you know, are you qualified? Are you someone who is smart? Are you experienced? Do you know the job? And so vote smart.org will give you the information that you need to make a decision about voting, even for other candidates, for Senate, for Congress, for governor. You know, I would definitely say use that. Almost done. Come up with your vote plan. You know, this is something that you can share with people. You know, what's your vote plan? Are you registered? Are you voting by mail? Are you voting early? Are you voting in person? I probably will vote early. I normally vote by mail, but I'll probably vote early the first day. Are you voting in person? Have you checked your card? Do you know where your card is? Do you know where you need to go? Okay, so those are just some things to think about as we get closer. Because I think, you know, this is going to be a big turnout. It's going to be a big turnout like in 2008 when Obama ran the first time. It's going to be a really big turnout. So think about, you know, all of these things. Think about your vote plan. Let's make history. Let's elect our first female president, shatter the glass ceiling, save our democracy, reach as many voters, save our democracy and save our communities and save ourselves, save our children. What about the next generation, the kids? You know, I work for Title I, and I'm just grateful to be able to work with parents and families and to try to make a difference with families who really need that support. And the thought of, you know, not having the funding for the parents who need it the most, to just not even have any funding for parents and children, especially who need it, is really a shame. So we want to reach as many voters as possible, leave no stone unturned. And just keep pushing until November the 6th, until election is over with. So I think that's the end of my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Here's my email. I have two. You can reach me on my personal email is roebuckmac@gmail.com. Monica from Maryland @gmail is my other email. And I want to see if there are any questions. And okay, I see a hand up.
Wow, Miss Monica, I want to put this recording on continuous play. I tell you, this is some really good information. And I thank you so much. And I'm trying to see who that is with the hand up.
Oh, it's me. It's the other Monica.
Oh.
I wanted to ask, do you have to get some type of training in order to register voters, or can you just go out and register voters?
Yeah, there is training. If you call the Board of Elections and it doesn't take very long. I can probably train you. I'll let mine expire, but I'll find out when it is. But the Board of Elections just is a brief training to let people know. And it pretty much was what I went over with you all, the questions you asked people. And so on that form, there's a number that you put, your assigned a number, and then you just put it at the bottom. And so it kind of tallies all the registrations that you have done. So there is a brief training. I'll find out, but you can also call the Board of Elections and find out when they're offering it. And it won't take very long. It'll probably take not even an hour. Yeah, so I would say definitely get it. I would say get the training, you know, print out the voter registration forms and go to work and start registering people as soon as you can.
Perfect.
So I look to see some wonderful events in your community. Please email me and let me know. Mayor Cross and all the mayors on this call. I'm looking forward to any events that you're having. I'm planning to do an event at First Baptist Church of Highland Park on October the 17th with some of the other Divine Nine organizations. So when I have the flyer, I'll share it with you all so that you can come out to that. I think that'll be a great event of all the Divine Nine organizations coming together.
I think Mayor Cross, you have your
Yes,
hand.
I do have my hand up, and thank you again. I sent to you a contact that I would like for you to reach out to for setting up a voter registration booth. So please check your chat, Monica. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Monica, I have a question about college students. What is the best way to outreach to college students? Actually, I'd like to get this video or this, what's this going to be? YouTube? Yeah, this is going to be on YouTube, right, Monica? Is to some college students. And what's the best way to outreach to them to get this information out, and so they can go ahead and register and get their absentee ballot, however they're going to do it,
Exactly.
taken care of.
I think for like Bowie State University or any of them, you can go to like their student union. They all have student unions. I like to set up a table there and just kind of hang out for a little while. And homecomings are coming up. That's always a good way to do it. To try to, interact with them. It's not that cold now, so you can, homecomings, go to the student centers and try to reach them there. A lot of them have organizations, or I guess like individuals who you can probably contact the university to find out also any times or where you can go and actually talk to the students, because that would be good. If there was a point of contact on the university, you can probably find out whether or not, there are times when you can speak to the students, the Student Government Association, to have contact. Or they may be a contact, the Student Government Association. You might want to check with them to see whether or not, they can be a vehicle to pass off information to the students, because they work with the students directly.
May I ask you a question? This is Mayor Porter.
Yes.
Do you have, in most of our cities, or maybe some of the cities, we have what's called phone blasts?
I see you, Mayor Robinson.
Funny?
Go ahead, Mayor Porter. I apologize.
We can blast out phone blasts to people on a consistent basis, now going up and leading into the election itself. Okay.
I did.
Did you hit? Okay. And because that's one process we'll be utilizing, the phone blast out to folks.
Yeah, I think the robocall is a good idea. Now let me ask you all this. So when the early voting starts, are any of the areas within your city, are those vote places where people can go to vote early?
Say that one more time.
Sure.
When early voting begins, are the places where people do the early voting, are they in your cities?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason why I asked is, that's a good opportunity to,
Early voting.
Yeah, early voting. Yeah, because in the city of Bowie, we have a vote center that's near Bowie Town Center, and what they do in the city of Bowie is they put the information on the website. We have a newsletter in the city of Bowie. We have a text blast. And so those are some ways. Too bad my mayor is not on here, but they do a great job of communicating with everyone. And so I think those are some ways to get, because everybody has their phone. So if it's an e-blast, if it's, we have closed caption TV in Bowie, so they have announcements running there. They have, various ways to reach people. So whatever means that you can use to reach the masses within the next couple of weeks, I'd say, take advantage of it. Yes, I see another hand.
That's Mayor Robinson. It's Mayor Robinson again.
Mayor Robinson, yes, ma'am.
There is I did understand that some of the college students can vote where they are.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because they don't have to vote absentee because they're not in Maryland. They can vote where they are.
Absolutely.
So that is something that really needs to be blasted out there too, that they don't have to do an absentee ballot from Maryland and they in a Georgia college. They can vote in Georgia.
Yep.
And we
Like-
need them to vote in Georgia because that's a swing state. So
Right. Yeah.
thank you.
That is true.
Okay, Monica, is Monica's hand up?
Yes. So this is also just a reminder that we need to get our Black and Brown brothers and sisters out to vote. And
Yes.
so I've been talking to people who are bilingual to get them to be election judges. But we should be spreading the word to everyone. If they can be an election judge, apply to become an election judge that day. Especially if you're bilingual, apply to be an election judge.
Yeah,
And one of the, oh,
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that was a part of my presentation. I didn't have a chance to add that part because we want to also make sure that we are fighting voter suppression. We need to have someone on the inside of the polling places to just ensure that things are going the way that they should, that no one is being treated unfairly, people are not asking for your ID. You know, there's a lot of things that we need to consider when going inside. The Board of Elections overall does a great job. I know it's going to be really, really crowded. But we need to have people on the inside too. So you need poll watchers. And then there are things that may happen on the outside because we just don't know what this election is going to be like on election day or what things people are going to try to do. But there are numbers and toll-free hotlines that you can call if you see people trying to suppress the vote, voter intimidation, if you see people that are doing things inappropriately, violence, firearms at the polling places. So I think all of those things, we definitely need to consider that as well. And we need to have like the number normally about this time. Somebody will send me like a number just to make sure, you know, that it's just good to have it just in case that you need to call someone in case something is crazy at the polls, which the way things are going now, you just don't know. It's good to have it, better to have it than not. So
One other question I have for you is Mayor Porter. Your connection, are you connected with the African American Mayors Association?
no.
Okay, good. Well, that's something some of our mayors may be involved in that as well, but I will be pushing that organization. I know they're already involved as well, but that could be another source that we should be reaching out to, and I have.
Yeah, I mean, I think however we can come together in as many ways as possible to share the information and share it out, you know, as broadly as possible to as many people as possible, you know, throughout the state of Maryland. I see a lot of Prince George's County mayors here, but I know that there are a lot more and a lot of other people within the state.
Yeah.
So I would really like to see that, you know, particularly in, you know, you're talking Western Maryland, Eastern Maryland.
Yeah.
Sure, those areas definitely need to have this information as well. I mean, we're heavily Democratic, but those other areas too. I know we have a Black mayor in the Hagerstown, and
Chrisville.
yeah, Chrisville. So there are a lot of other areas. So let's make sure.
Reston, right? Mayor Monica.
Huh?
Reston, Mayor Monica.
Okay. Yeah, let's make sure that we share out all of this information to anyone who is not here.
And I'm also not negating the Hispanic organizations as well as all the organizations that fall under the guise of the National League of Cities. So I'm throwing that out there as something, you know, just to let people be aware about getting out to vote. You know, it's essential representation.
We can definitely do another push Ms. Roebuck to gather some more mayors that are Black and brown and really reach out to those outside of Prince George's County to do an extra push. Maybe just show this YouTube video again, or show your presentation again separately, just to get it out. I tell you, your presentation is exquisite. It's professional. It's detailed. It's interesting. It's broken down where you can understand, and it really stirs up the desire to vote and really to get that word out. So a teacher, you definitely are. A messenger you are, and I greatly appreciate your time. Your heart and your passion is in it. So I'm not just saying that. I think we all may feel that way. Thank you a million times. I greatly appreciate that. So I definitely want some others to get it so that we can really push this. I'm really thankful that Mayor Robinson, she had her push earlier this weekend, and then it's like this push right here tonight, and then we need to push even further.
We need to keep pushing. Yeah, we need to keep
we need to
keep pushing because you know, like I said, we can't rest until November the 6th. And the event that I'm doing is in October. So, you know, this hopefully will kickstart everything and, you know, to give us what we need to go to the next level. So I will take a look at the presentation, and then I'll send it to you and you can send it out to your organization. So that we can, you know, get this information. But your homework is to share it with your city and your residents, whatever you need to do with it, and make sure that they have it. You know, I'm not sure when you guys meet, but I know for Bowie we meet, I think it was 1st and 3rd. And, you know, it's something, you know, just shared out to the city. People got to have the information.
Yeah. I mean, the understanding of it. Yeah. That's why this was so important. Yes, ma'am.
Can I, this last slide?
Yes.
Let's make history. I don't think we can push it out there as far as on a community channel with Kamala Harris.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying that because we are bipartisan, so we can't direct nobody to. Okay, because I'm just saying that.
Yeah, you can.
I'm just saying that because we're gonna put it on a community channel.
Yeah.
So
our communication.
I mean, we know what we want to do.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm just saying on the community channel, we cannot have the last. We can't have the last slide.
You can't listen.
I mean, we can't have her. It said, let's make history, save our democracy. Not that elect our first female president or anything. I mean, because the rest of it is really, really good, but they'll blast us out if we have that last.
Elect our first female president, because we've never had one. That's shattering the glass ceiling. So I think I'm just saying
it for our community. That's all I'm saying. If we put it on our community channels, that's one thing. That's one slide that we cannot put in there.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson.
Okay.
Because I think you're just trying to say that we're nonpartisan.
Yes.
But Mayor Stewart has had her hand up.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify something. And I don't know if you know the answer to this, but you can elected officials cannot serve on the election board, right?
I don't think so. I've never seen one on there.
Because I had registered to be an election judge, and then I read the guidelines, and it says you can't be an elected official. So just double check that before you guys decide you want to do election judges.
I've served. Thank you for that reminder, Mayor Stewart. I've served as an election judge.
I have too.
I think I'm good with not doing it for like another 10 years because it's a full day commitment, but I'm getting other people. Like I'm trying to recruit for other people to become election judges. If you've never done it, do it at least once in your life.
I've been a supervisor election judge and an election judge as mayor.
Yeah,
You
it's
might want to check the regulations
I'm
on
not
that.
talking about the board. I'm not talking about the state board. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about election judges.
Yeah, just double check that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very important that you all make sure that your elections are going smoothly, even in your city. And I'll tell you why. We had a situation in the city of Bowie. And so early voting, one of our early voting sites is one of the highest in the county and in the state. And that's the City of Bowie Gymnasium. But it's close to a senior center, and it's close to an area where people don't want all the traffic. They don't want all the traffic. They don't want, all the cars. You've got signs going up. You have candidates and this, that, or the other. But it is still one of the highest voter turnout areas. And there was one point where we literally had to fight to keep it because people were trying to remove that as an early voting site. And I said, we cannot remove this. It's near a bus line, one, because the early voting sites should be accessible to people with public transportation. They wanted to move it to a smaller site, and they wanted to move it to a place where it was not as easy to get to. And I said, that's called voter disenfranchisement. That's called voter suppression. So we really had to fight, and there were people actually on our city council who wanted to get rid of it. So it's very important that you make sure you're the gatekeeper of your city, and you need to make sure that you have free and fair elections, no matter who is being elected. But don't let things happen where people cannot come in and vote freely, and there are things that are going on that shouldn't be happening. And so we were able to save that voting location, thankfully, and it's going to continue for now. And as long as I'm in the city of Bowie, I'm going to keep fighting to keep that location because it's centrally located, and we have to make sure that elections are done the right way and it's accessible. So, I mean, and unfortunately, it doesn't just happen in Alabama or Mississippi or wherever. Voter suppression happens by just powers that be that don't want people elected for whatever reason. They want to suppress it, but that is not what elections are all about, and that's not what the democratic government is all about. It has to have every voice should be heard in order for this to work. If not, then that's called disenfranchisement. Well, it has been great with you all tonight. I'm looking to make sure that I have everything, all the notes and everything that I see in here. I want to thank everybody for your participation and staying on the call this long. Dr. Cross, I have your message, and most of you have my information. I'll put my number here as well. You can text me if you have any questions, and I look forward to some invites moving forward for the next any of your events. I look forward to some of the invites. I'll send you all the flyer that I have for First Baptist Church at Highland Park, which will be in October, right before the election. I look forward to seeing you there. All right, you all take care and have a great evening.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. MBM, is there anything? Thank you, Maryland Black Mayors, for hanging in there and your participation in this meeting and this lesson, this teaching tonight. We already had our updates from the mayors. I see Mayor Stewart, did you just forget to put your hand down, or did you have a question?
I'm sorry, I don't even know how my hand got up that time. My bad.
All right. Is everybody feeling all right?
I have a question and a suggestion. I mean, she kind of threw the gauntlet down and challenged us to do something. So I think if we can do something via social media where we share graphics reminding people to go vote, but even if we had like an election drive, obviously all of this is nonpartisan.
Absolutely.
But I think that we should consider doing something like that. As she mentioned, it's not too late.
It is not too late. And I honestly would love to reach out to our mayors that are from afar, reach out to them and get them her information once she tweaks it a bit. She said she was going to tweak her presentation tonight and get that information to them so that they can share it. I think that's very important to get that to all of our mayors, actually. Yeah, so they can share it. I think that'll be very, very important. And for some reason, I'm feeling like Jeff Slavin needs to have that so he can push this. I think he'll get it to many people. Yeah, so you think we should have some type of drive, a Maryland Black Mayors drive? Maybe we should have a table set up somewhere. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Mayor. I think that even if it's just like a not a heavy lift, but we should have a drive. We should maybe do something on using Facebook Live. I think that we should definitely push out some graphics reminding people to go vote. And I think I just love the way that she kind of included that T-Pain video that talks about, you know, like all politics is local politics. It doesn't have to be just voting for president. It's everything. And it all matters. Every single election matters. So I think just pushing all of that information out, maybe creating some type of a packet or something. I mean, honestly, she inspired me. So I was just really impressed. I loved it.
I know. You know what was impressive at our Unity rally last week? I forget the sorority, but it was, what was it, Mayor Robinson or Mayor Monica? Psi Sigma, a sorority was there for the Board of Elections. It was Board of Elections, but the sorority was the one that was there representing the Board of Elections, and they were registering individuals to vote. So, I mean, that's almost something that we could do if we had that training to register individuals to vote. I don't know if it was one person that was actually the trainer or not, but I thought that was cool. Maybe we could have someone from the Board of Elections that was the actual registrar, and we could be there as Maryland Black mayors, you know.
Yeah, I think if we did that training, if we asked someone to come and train us on registering voters, I would love to go out and register voters.
And we could go to, let's say, if Glen Arden had an event, then we could set that table up as Maryland Black mayors, and we're registering individuals to vote. Yep. But we only have a couple of months to do that. Or Brentwood, or North Brentwood, or Colmar Manor, so on and so forth. Yep.
I'd just like to say this was a very good presentation. I enjoyed it. It was very, very informative. At our church, we have every Sunday we have a registration at our church after church for we have a voting committee that does this, and then we have a registrar too. So it's very, and I also just want to say that I've had a couple of people. We have a voting box at the North Brentwood Community Center, and people come to the office to say they can't. The box is locked. It's not locked, so it deters people. It looks locked. It's not locked. I mean, it's a hole in front on the top. So I'm saying people are coming over to say the box is locked. So please tell people that there is a lock there. There is a lock there, but you have to slide. It's a little hole up there. They may not see it, but I've had about 5 or 6 people come over there, and we've got the box there at the community.
I would say you're pretty active on social media, Mayor Robinson. Why don't you create a little video? I mean, we can all use our our spheres of influence. So maybe that's something that you do. Make a little video
Okay.
in front of the voting box.
All right, okay, okay. All
She
right,
said, okay.
all right. I'll do it, I'll do it.
Get Christian to do it.
Say the voting box is not locked. See?
The voting box is not locked. People are saying it's locked.
And put
Not
something inside. Say,
Yes,
see, it's a lock here,
yeah,
but it's not locked.
I will do that.
See?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I opened my mouth. I'm going to bed.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if there's nothing else for the good of the order, again, thank you so much for attendance.
Mayor Gant.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Mayor
sir.
Gant. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you all, I know I came in late, you all was working. Okay, I'm trying to switch that around so I can make sure I make the meetings as family manner. But I'm just if the invite did not come out directly to the Maryland Black Mayors and so forth, or to your towns, we're having our swearing-in ceremony on October the 7th.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's the City Activity Center. Now I know that's the same day that they're having a meeting at, I believe it's the Prince George's Ballroom. I'm going to be making that meeting and hightailing it back over to make, but I'm going to do both. But I'm just saying that those who would like to come over, it goes on until 1 o'clock. So I don't know the exact time that the other meeting stops. But I'm inviting all parties to like to come and share that day with the.
That's October the 7th. At what time?
It's the swearing in ceremony starts at 10 o'clock.
10 a.m.
And I know the other. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And congratulations
Yes,
again.
congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Congratulations.
Thank
yes.
You. Thank you.
All right. All right. So if there's nothing else for the good of the order, I'll accept the motion to adjourn this meeting.
So move.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. And we will talk soon.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Good night.